And these are the addendums, correct? This is previous. That is the other.
Right, I'd like to welcome everyone to this meeting of the council of November 20th, 2024. We're starting around 6:00 p.m. I would like to acknowledge the meeting is taking place in Mi'kmaq, the traditional territory of the Mi'kmaq people. We are calling this meeting to order, and I must read this live streaming. Today's meeting is being streamed live on the Town of Annapolis Royal YouTube channel. To those present in the gallery today, and we do have a member of the public present, by attending a public meeting of the council, you're consenting to have your image, voice, and comments recorded. Anyone who is invited to speak will be recorded, and their voice, image, and comments will form part of the live stream. The chair and/or the CAO shall have the discretion and authority at any time to direct the termination or interruption of live streaming. We've never done that before, never had to. Such direction will only be given in exceptional circumstances when deemed relevant. I think we're covered there. We have all members of council present, regrets, no absences. We have two proposed additions to the agenda, and both in camera. We have contract negotiations, item 2 to add, and contract negotiation, a personnel matter for item 3. So for your in-camera agenda, if there are no other changes, the agenda will be approved by unanimous consent.
I would just like to get item unfinished business number 1 moved up under Melanie's section under new business so that she doesn't have to stay to report. So if we can just move that one up so she can speak to that while she's here.
Absolutely. So. Okay. And if there are no errors or omissions for the minutes, the council made a minute of October 16th, 2024. They are also approved by unanimous consent. We have no presentation scheduled for this evening, but we do have Mr. Landala here. And Mr. Landala, if you have some public input, we'd love to hear from you.
Thanks. I'm Landala. I just wanted to say I had 3 items that came up as I tried to catch up with council and committee meetings. One of them was the establishment of the task force for the quote unquote deer concern. And I want to pitch the idea of not having a task force at all. I worry that the emotions involved are so high that there will be no resolution one way or another. And I fear that because of that, it will leak into staff time, which is a finite resource here. I'd like to give the staff the opportunity to say, we considered a task force. The council decided not to take one up, and we'll leave it at that. Let the public who are concerned about it buttonhole you on the street or whatever. But I'd like to give the chance for the staff to stay away from it entirely. I truly worry that the establishment of a formal task force will oblige them to respond in one way or another, taking up time today. So there's a never-ending supply of deer. The hunting as an opportunity to manage the population has declined in popularity over the last couple of decades. That might be improved, but I don't think it's for the town council to describe it or take it on officially. So that's my item on that one. I noticed in the minutes, or pardon me, the package, that there's a reprint of the AIM study. And during the course of the presentations that I was able to take in both here and online and at the Legion last season, there was one question that kept coming up in my mind that I didn't hear about, and that is the entire package that AIM presented seemed to be prefaced on the use of the gates to be successful. Their suggestions seem to be prefaced on the use of the gates as a water management tool. And I think that the town doesn't have any control of that, firstly, and I'd be happy to be corrected. But secondly, the logic of that, whoever controls those gates, the logic of that was lost on me because I thought that open gates would give essentially a relief valve. Closing the gates seems to me that it would put more pressure on our little basin here in terms of rising tides, storm surge, and over time, higher sea levels. So there's so that's what I have to say on that item. And third, I want to say that having the package available to residents when we download the agenda, I think is very helpful. It kept me from bothering you with a couple of other items. So thanks to Kim for that. I think it's a new thing. It seems to be a new thing to include the package. Perhaps not, but I've missed it before, and I'm grateful to see that it's quickly and easily available. So thank you for that. Those are my items. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. Okay, all righty. Now we're moving on to new business, and I believe we placed Melanie first. Yes, so Melanie, would like to take over from here?
So I'm going to share my screen if everyone's ready. What screen do you see? The wrong one. Yep. Let's try this again. Oh gosh. Something's wrong with the
It looks like the right one. You've got taxes at the top.
is it capital?
No,
You didn't want to start with capital, did you?
No,
Yeah.
but there's something wrong with the Zoom. It's not.
There. It looks like revenues.
Okay. So you can see my revenue and taxes and all that?
We have them.
Okay, great. It's just a different version of how it
see them
usually
here.
is for here, but anyway. Okay, so in October or I think the day you were sworn in, when we had our little orientation, I gave you the detail for this, which would have been a 13-page document. It's the detail of the income statement, which is what we're going to go over, but we're just going to go over the summary. And I do this every quarter. So for the taxes, the first column is any expenditure or revenue that we brought in the current month. The second column is where we are year to date. That's our fiscal year to date. The third column, YTD budget, is where we thought we would be. A percentage used the prior year where we were last year this time. And the final column is our annual budget. So,
excuse me, Melanie.
yeah.
Are you trying to share your screen with the income statement or the detailed one?
The detailed one.
Okay, because in the package we have the income statement.
Yeah, that's what I want you to have. The summary version.
Oh, that's not the summary. You've got the detailed up.
Oh,
Yeah. That must be what you meant.
yeah.
And in the package, it truncates the budget column.
Yeah.
There. This is what I wanted. This is what I wanted you to see.
Yeah, that's it.
Right. Yeah.
Can
Okay.
you just make it larger? Can you?
Oh yeah, I can make it larger.
Yeah. Perfect.
Okay, you just need to,
Okay, I can see that now.
That's
Okay.
amazing.
I can make it even larger. Do you want it larger?
Yeah. Hmm,
Okay,
that's great.
It's a good
So-
sign.
so our taxes, where we thought we would be 820, we're at 831. That's because in this category is the commercial taxes, residential taxes, the sewer charges for the tax exempt properties and an HST offset. So our HST offset came in higher than what we thought it would come in. And the annual budget, of course, is 1.13. And you'll see that the next time you see this at the final quarter or the third quarter in December, which you won't see until February, but the final taxes went out October 31st, as everyone knows. Grants in lieu of taxes are like our Bell Alliant, the federal tax, provincial tax, NSP, courthouse grant that we get. They're flat. So we thought we'd be at 274 and we're right around there. The provincial ones won't come in until sometime in the new year, and that'll bring us up to about 280, 297, which is our annual amount. The services provided to other government are like, for instance, we treat Annapolis County sewage, we do criminal record checks, and we do planning services such as permit developments and zoning letters and things like that. So that's what's in this category. We thought we'd be around 31.3, but we're at 26.1, and that's because Triton is trailing behind where we thought we would be. And so Triton is, for anyone that doesn't know, it's criminal record checks that our police department does for other outside of this jurisdiction, so we can charge, that's a fee that we charge for. Conditional transfers are flat at the moment, or there's been no activity, because that's the money that I will transfer from the operating reserve over into this bank account to make things flush if I need to. And just so that you know, the paving that was just done, the budget had been approved, and then we got, I think, funding for 204,000 matching funds. So we paved that with 50-cent dollars. So that amount will be, some of it will be coming over for sure. That's an operating reserve bank account that we keep for things like, for instance, when we just got the money for the paving. License and permits fees, we thought we'd be around 39.68, but we're at 60.30. And that's because building fees are coming in above where we thought they would be. The overall budget for the year for building fees was only 4,000, and we're up at 45.50 already. Fines are just trailing. They are what they are. In years past, we would be around, well, last year, this time we were 33.77. We're only at 1,100. And we did notice after COVID, we've had a lot of fines coming in, but I think they were back. They were old fines that the courts just couldn't hear. Retail leases, sales, that's flat, 24 versus 23, and that's like our farmers market. That's the little shop at the bus garage. That would be our kitchen at the academy and things like that. A return on investment, it's 22.8 versus 15. Last year, this time it was 18. The interest rate is slowly going down. So that's just money that we hold in an account. Penalty and interest on taxes. You never know how many accounts are going to be in arrears, and we charge 18% on all overdue accounts. So we thought we'd be at 45. We're at 84. Concessions and franchises. Sorry, I'm having a bit of a hard time with this Zoom. It's a little bit different this time, and I don't know why, but
Yeah, we can see the last column, just so you know, Melanie.
you can. Oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So, right, I'll bring it down a little so you can see it. So concession and franchises, we thought would be at 64,150. We're at 112,492, and that is deed transfer is 34,000 above where we thought it would be. So for the year, we budgeted 85,000 for deed transfer, but this is as of the end of September, and today is the 20th of November, and I can tell you it's above 90,000 already, so. This statement that you see, by the time you see it, it's quite old, but it's a quarter. The second quarter, also included in this is, in this category is a Valley Waste surplus refund, and every year Valley Waste has a surplus and we get our share of that. And there is 17,000 that belongs in last year, but there was a mix up when they gave out the numbers for our surplus last year, and I think we were given 15,000, but it should have been 34. So this is a difference. The auditors have agreed to put it in here. We found out the day that we were approving the statements, so it was too late to do anything. Transfers to other government. This is our Department of Justice money and our equalization grant. That's flat 120 versus 120. Taxation 51 versus 50. That's not taxation, that is recreation. And that's we get a grant for I can't think what it's called, MPAL grant. We also get a grant from the county. We get some outside rentals at the gym at the academy, and we also get some program revenues, scheduled programs like pickleball and whatnot. Marketing 80-30 versus 126,046. Well, since we passed the budget, we've got a civil forfeiture grant in the amount of 25,000. We've got an MIP grant to have a economic marketing, and in the amount of almost 45,000. We've got beautification grant in the amount of 10,000 for community works program. 12,750, a FRIP, which is flood risk infrastructure, of 20,988, and we had budgeted the 6,000 or 7,500 for the video to promote the medical profession in this area. So we thought we'd be at we thought our revenues at this point, the end of September, would be 1.6 million, but they're 1.8. And those are the various variances. The bulk of this is D-transfer and all the grants that we've since got. Any questions on the revenue side? And all the details to this, all of this can be found in the 13-page document that I would have given you orientation day. And I can reprint one for anyone if you ever want it. So I'll carry on to the expenses.
Only just before you leave, how far are we ahead of, because the last column I can't read.
Okay, so I'll just bring it down. I'll make it so that you can see it. How's that?
Yeah, just.
Is that better?
On projected for this year, total revenue
Yeah.
compared to budget. Does that put us over?
Well, year to date, it'll be 3.2 million. We're at 1.8.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we will be over. We'll be over by about well, all the marketing stuff will be over, so. Because we didn't budget most of that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Included in this 214 is just the video, the oops, trying to move this. The community fund video, and we also council amended the budget for paving funds in the amount of 205,439 that will be coming in as well.
Yeah.
So now we'll go to the expenses. Legislative, those are most of council expenses, be your remuneration, the election expenses, the auditor fee, the legal fees, things that are legislated that we have to have, and like the public liability insurance, tax rebates, assessment services, and things like that. So we budgeted 90,874. That's where we thought we would be right around now, and we're at 77,385. And so what happened is errors and omissions was budgeted in the amount of $4,183, but it was budgeted twice. It got in with another line. So that's the long and short of it. We've got $4,100 that we won't be spending. General administrative, 110, 232 versus 110, 187. That is the salaries and worker compensation, conference and travel for the admin staff. So that's pretty much right on track. Taxation, those are things like that pertain to the building, for instance, the Nova Scotia Power bill, cleaning, fuel, the water, the insurance, repairs and supplies. So it looks like, so we thought we'd be at 52,455. The end of September, we were only at 8,112, but that's merely a timing difference because the roof wasn't done. We thought the roof would have been done by the end of September. It didn't get done till October in this building, and that was $35,000, I do believe. Fire protection, 138 versus 139. There's no real difference
real
there. Whoops, I skipped one. Other general administrative, 22 versus 19. Again, that would be things like the town website maintenance, IT services, other expenses for the town. So that's flat, a little bit below. Then we come to police protective services. Well, protective services, which also includes the fire department and our trees, protection of our trees and our animals and all that. So the police protection we budgeted, we thought we'd be at 257. We're actually at 247,692. And that's because the police equipment maintenance and training, clothing and IT are all a little bit below where we thought we would be. We don't expect any real variance. It's just a timing difference. It didn't come in. We didn't spend it as quickly as we thought we were going to be. The law enforcement costs are like the telephone, radio. We have an answering service in Digby that looks after our dispatch. Those are those amounts, and that's pretty much flat. The fire protection, that is a grant that we give to the fire department, and it's also a fire protection hydrant tax that were mandated by the Utility Review Board to give the water utility. It's flat, 138 versus 139. Emergency measures, nothing in yet. We usually get an invoice at the end of the year for our emergency measures coordinator that we share with the county. The trees and animals, 24 versus 20. That would be, so we have to look after our trees and our gardening and our animal control. So we thought we'd be at 24, we're at 20, and that's because the tree removal is below where we thought it would be at this time. Overall, 425 versus 412, we're below where we thought we would be. Common services such as transportation, that is our public works salaries, the Kubotas, any vehicles, training, all that kind of stuff. So we thought we'd be at 97 and we're at 79. And those are just small variances. Whoops. Those are just small variances. I don't expect any differences from what we've budgeted. Road transportation, that would be our paving, our big paving items, snow removal, construction road signs, stuff like that. Asphalt, 158 versus 151. I don't expect anything different there. I'm scared to touch this. Street maintenance is just a little bit below budget, but again, it's timing difference, and the paving that just happened in October, you'll see that invoice come in November. So 255 versus 231. Environmental health, this is our sewage lagoon and where we treat our sewer. We thought we'd be at 163, we're at 119, and that's just simply the difference of our sewage lagoons. We're doing we got a big grant to do maintenance on the lagoons, and the big invoice came in. It's come in, but it hadn't come in the end of September. So there's no real difference there. It's just a timing difference. And garbage collection, that's where we pay Valley Waste, and 55 versus 55. There's no variance there. Then we go to the recreation, 42 versus 37. And that is just that his facility maintenance repairs are a little bit below budget where we thought they would be for the most part. And so we're not sure that he's going to spend those. That may end up being a true variance. Marketing 29
Oh,
versus,
sorry, Melanie. He does need to spend money on the washroom though there, right?
That's more than
no,
that.
that would be a capital expense probably,
Okay,
and that's,
capitalized.
that's
Gotcha.
$100,000 fix.
Thank you.
Yeah, so these recreation facilities are just like the trail, like the dog park, little things like that, the playground if we had it, the soccer field, stuff like that. So you'll see when we get talking about the budget for next year, you'll see the washrooms in there. So the marketing 29 versus 31. The reason that's up is because we got a beautification grant. So up above in marketing, you would see a grant up there. So these expenses are going to be, but it'll wash. Cultural services, that's the library, and town crier reimbursements, some repairs at the farmer's market. It's flat, 12 and 12. Economic development is like the hub expenses, Friends of the Pool, the Comfort Center, the music at the O, the wharf. And now it includes our economic development coordinator. So we thought we'd be at 69 and we are at 59. And that is because the Comfort Center expenses where we were last year versus this year, they're quite a bit lower. And I have a feeling the only reason I can explain it is we didn't have the VIC there this year. We noticed the costs increased quite a lot last summer. Fiscal services, that is our debt load. So we have a debt, we have a long-term debt of $25,000 a year that we're paying back over 10 years for the bus garage when we bought that. And we also have bank service charges now. Scotiabank is no longer here, but we continue to use them. We did open a bank or a bank account at RBC, and all we do is most of our money comes through in checks. If we do receive money in cash, we deposit it there, and then I go online and transfer it to Scotiabank.
Can we retire that debt or we tied into that term for the balance?
Sorry?
The loan, the final loan that we have for the Comfort Center,
Right?
are we tied into the term or can that be paid off?
No, I think there's no balloon payment for that, not that I'm aware of.
Payment, okay.
Yeah, we didn't go through debenture for that. We went to CMHC. I mean, I could ask the question.
Well, it's just such a small amount, it'd be nice to get rid of it.
No, it was 250,000, Amory. That's just our annual
Right.
payment.
But what?
You
what
wouldn't
is it
see,
down?
you wouldn't see it unless we're on the balance sheet, and this is just the income statement.
Right. Okay, so maybe we could just flag it for that.
Right, so we had to buy a check scanner, which was a few $1,000s, and that's how we deposit our checks now. Melanie runs them through a check scanner. And so we had a lot of problems setting it up, tremendous amount of problems. So they gave us, Scotiabank came through and gave us a credit. So our bank service charges are going to be way below budget. Right now they are $4.05. So you'll see that always below. Transfer to own reserves. This is the money each year that council determines that we're going to take money out of this budget and put it towards our general capital. So 257,000 is what they chose this year. And as of the end of September, that hadn't been moved over. But today that has been moved over since I moved it over the 1st of November, because you'll see that we needed this money to be able to spend our capital, and we also tuck away money for our fleets. Unconditional transfers are planning is included in here. The academy, Annapolis Valley Regional School Board. So we thought we would we at 142, we're at 132, and I can see outside planning, we're way below that, but it's just a timing difference. And I think I probably have a note here, they're probably just all just timing difference. Oh, yes, in addition to, we will not be, so we budgeted 15,000 for senior citizens housing, which is our share of the debt load for the seniors housing up across from AWAC. After we budgeted, we found out we do not have to pay that this year or ever again. And the
Yeah.
correctional services for the province, I don't think we have to pay that either, and that was budgeted 11,249. So we thought we would have a surplus at the end of September at 131. It's actually 479. Are there any questions? I knew I flew by that, but all the
Well,
detail
it's
is in
It's
all the
nice
detail.
financial news. It's lovely news,
Okay,
including the housing and corrections, which we
Yeah.
didn't think we can.
yep,
It's been well managed because we can explain everything.
okay, good.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll stop sharing and now we'll move on to the second quarter capital. Just bear with me for a sec, okay? And I go back here. Can everybody see that? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, so the budget column is our budget, 494.2, and our actual is what we had spent the end of September. So we got just over $100,000 for our playground, but we budgeted 100. The end of September, we'd only spent 19. I can tell you today, we've spent a lot more than that. The lift station at Riverview Drive, we budgeted 17. The end of September, only 5 had been spent, but that's all been spent now. We got a commercial panel for generator here at Town Hall for the police department, and that's been spent 4,700. The solar panels, that's a grant, and we had 118 left to spend, and the end of September we'd spent 111. I believe we've spent all of that today. We got new radios in the police department. They were just under 20,000. The budget was 22. We did get a new police car. The budget was 69. It came in at 70. We got a new side-by-side for the public works. The budget was 57, came in at 51. We're using gas tax for a new lift station at the wetlands. We budgeted 30, so far 23. The end of September had been used. We gave 30,000 of our gas tax money to the pool for their liner. That was a contribute towards their liner. And that's it for when you see 04, an account that starts with 04, that's our general capital. That's the end of our general capital. The last 2 lines start with 03, and that means our water capital. So we installed a water meter reader, and our budget was 18.2, and it came in at 18.1. And that is so that they could just scan with a wand the water meters instead of going through and counting them all. It took a bit of time to get that set up, but I think, and your first set of water bills that went out in September, they used that new machine. So I think everyone's quite happy with that. The water main saddles, there's still some to do. We budgeted 28,000, but unfortunately that's not going to happen because our contractor to do that, he's in Bear River busy doing all the work in Bear River and Deep Brook. So he's tied up for the rest of the year. So that will get pushed out into another year. Are there any questions on that?
Any questions? What happened to the money for the men's washrooms at the gym?
That didn't-
I'm trying not
that
to
didn't-
remember where
that-
is.
It didn't
That
get
didn't
passed.
get approved in this budget year.
Oh, okay, that's where that didn't
We'll
go.
have to visit it in the coming year.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So Noah's hoping to find a grant to potentially do that with. So yeah.
Can you get something under accessibility or something?
Well, we did get an accessibility part of that playground. I think 54,000 of that
Yeah.
100,000 is EAF.
Yeah.
So we can't apply for another
That's
one
right,
until that
that's
one's
right.
done. And
So
that
he
one
did
will be
Yeah.
get
done.
that one.
Yeah.
Well, good for Noah. Yeah. Any other questions? Well, it's a great report, Melanie. It's all very clear right now.
Okay, so we.
All right.
Item.
Versus next to.
So then this next, this motion, the town has a couple properties that, it leases. And so part of our lease, we write these properties, we write the interim and the final tax bill off, and that's what these are. And if you'd like to know what they are, you can come and see me later.
So we need a motion to get this on the floor.
I'll move. So I'll move that council approve the write-off roll number 0009239 and roll number 04997409. Final taxes in the amounts of $680.85 and $3,244.80 respectively for the town of Annapolis Royal for the town-owned properties.
Seconder,
Seconded.
okay. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. All right. Done. And was there anything else that yes, we did have,
We're gonna move to tab 5.
yes, we'll move to tab 5, which is workers' compensation board rates. Over to Melanie again.
So every year we get our new rates with our experience rating. So this year, the executive and legislative administrative, which is public works and all of us here right now. So the admin, council, and public works, our industry rate for January 1st, 2025 is going to be 3.18. And I believe it's 308 at the moment. It could have been as high as 586. So we get an experience rating merit of 89 cents. So when I talked with the people at WCB, the WCB across the board is going up and the trend is to go up. Of course, nothing's going down. So no surprise there, but that's what that is for. And I don't think we've had any claims for WCB. The next one is for the police services, and we get a demerit point of 25 cents added to our 407, which brings us up to 432. Could have been as high as 532. This is still, even though it's high, 432 is high, it's not as high as it is right now. Slowly coming down. We've had a couple substantial claims, former employees. One is quite substantive. So as that goes further into the past, we should see our demerits dwindling. Or not dwindling, but coming down. Hopefully our demerit will no longer be a demerit.
Our experience is going in the right direction, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Any questions for Melanie on that? That's great, Melanie, thanks for that.
Right. I think that's it for my portion. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to say good night.
Melanie.
All right.
Thank you, Melanie. Appreciate it. Okay, so back to the agenda. I think we go to new business and it's item 3, which is the grid program. Yes. And that was something too that got truncated in our packages. I don't know why they look fine on the screen, right? But they get cut off when you print them. Slide.
This is the formatting.
The formatting, yeah.
She printed them.
Oh, that was
That's
the
not
previous.
her.
That's, welcome to the grants world. This is the grid one.
The grid one,
You're right.
I'm looking at the trees.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with Gridiron in Digby and New York City. It's Nova Scotia grid.
So this is a new grant that just came out from the province. I attended a workshop with a PowerPoint presentation that's included in the agenda package. And it looks like it is a good fit for our
Marsh Street.
marsh restoration project. To apply for this grant, we have to have a motion from council to go with the application. The deadline is December 13th for the application. So just looking to see if council is agrees that staff can continue and apply for this grant. So we do have FRIP funding, which was the one that Melanie was talking about earlier. We've also applied for the LLCA, which is the FCM Local Leadership for Climate Adaptation. That grant we've been working on probably for 5 months. It's going through some of the stages and looks positive that we should be getting that money. That one covers 60% of the overall budget cost. So we're trying to stack as many grants as possible to reduce the burden to the taxpayer.
Overall budget costs for the marsh restoration only?
Yes, the
Yeah.
marsh restoration only, yeah.
I didn't mean only, but you know.
Yeah.
Just
Part of that one, yeah, not anything else, just that. And then, yeah, so that's this one. Did find out today that the FRIP and the grid can be stacked. But we still haven't heard back from FRIP whether we have been approved to change the scope. So when we originally applied for FRIP, it was under part of the project was on the wharf and the stuff, and now we're switching it from the wharf just to the shoreline restoration. So we don't have permission yet to flip that over, so we're just kind of waiting to see. But then this grid, if we can keep the FRIP, then the grid and the FRIP can be stacked with the LLCA.
I mean, FERC is 21,000, right? Not 25K.
Yeah.
25K was another.
That was,
grant.
yeah,
Yeah, okay, that we didn't get.
yes.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if there's any questions. There's a lot of information in the
Yeah,
project.
I have a question about, so the marsh or the marsh restoration kind of depends on it being abutted up against the wharf. And if
No,
the
so it's not going
wharf-
that far.
So
So
in the diagram, it has it, some levels, has it stacked?
yes,
So
so
it
if
would
you-
not include that.
Right, so if
Okay.
you go to, I'm not sure what page it is. But the concept drawing for construction where it
28.
has the blue dotted lines and the red stripes,
Mhm.
yeah, page 28. It's just to do the blue dotted section,
Okay,
so it doesn't go near the wharf at all.
okay. And is it that it can't go near the wharf? Like it can only,
This is just phase one of many phases to do that, yeah, and so after talking with the contractors and all of the people that this was the best section to kind of get the funding for.
okay. So that raises a question for me, because on the application in the document, it has, is this a multi-phase project? And it's checked no.
Right, because this project funding is just for that section.
Okay.
The bigger project is probably 4 or 5 stages, but we're just, this application is just for that shoreline restoration.
And then the next phase would be dependent on the ability to save the wharf.
To find,
On your decisions and where
Yeah.
we're going, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
because,
this was deemed to be the one that had the most buy-in.
Yeah.
And when we asked AIM, they said, we asked, could this stand alone? And the embankment couldn't stand alone because we'd have to deal with the other 3 sides, but then
Right.
one could.
Right.
So it seemed
Okay.
to be the safest one to try to get, and the easiest one to get money for.
And we have to start somewhere.
Yeah, that was the other. Good point.
We simply have to start somewhere.
Yes.
We can't keep kicking the can down the road. Okay. So so what the staff is, sorry, trying to speak.
Right.
Trying to blow things up and scroll at the same time. So the request for us is your request for decision at the beginning document, at the beginning of that section there.
correct. To apply for the grid application,
Okay.
which council has to agree to apply for before we can.
Can even,
Yeah, so we don't want to get started on a grant and then council say,
yeah.
no.
Yeah,
it's
So
not
this
what-
is,
yeah.
yeah, so the draft motion in this is just so that you can continue through the granting process. And there will be essentially more motions, more decisions that have to be made as we move forward,
If we get the funding.
if we get funding. Okay, that makes good, solid sense.
When's the deadline for the grant?
The 13th of December.
Is it 13?
13.
Oh, it is, sorry,
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
Which we haven't started yet, so it like that
Right.
gives us a couple weeks to
Yeah.
do,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes, that's right. It's a brand new one. Yeah,
Mhm.
just
Yeah.
announced. And it just happens to fall into, this is one of the things we can use the money for.
Yeah,
That's wonderful.
I think it's excellent. It's a,
Excellent.
it's an excellent opportunity yet again to kind of take the first steps that we need to take.
Is this based on the eelgrass marsh restoration projects going on the South Shore? That have been very successful?
Similar to, yeah, but we would use the saltwater
Water marsh
marsh
grass.
grass that we currently have, because we have just 2 sections there, and so
It's
it would be
actually
spreading
edible,
out.
by the way.
And we've got an accidental project
It's
going
quite
on at Fort Bay Mills. You go down there, there's a new marsh that's
That's growing
established
in, yeah,
because of erosion on Hogs Island.
yeah.
There's a secondary wall that built up, and now we've got a brand new marsh that seeded itself.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing what
Yeah.
happened.
And then however, consultation with Bear River will be if we get the grant, right?
Actually, consultation even before.
Before,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, yeah, and it's not that efforts have not been
No.
made,
Just,
but you're absolutely right, yeah, before things happen is when they would appreciate how being consulted, yeah. And actually overtures have also been made to Bear River about the work. That's all. So. I guess.
Do we need somebody to make?
We need a
the
motion.
motion, the draft motion?
You have it in your supplementary motions, I believe.
It's at the bottom of that.
This is an addition that.
Yeah, I can read them. I got it, nice and
I think
big
it's
there.
good. This is on top of yours. This is good.
Great. I move that council approves the submission of the shoreline restoration project under the Growth and Renewal for Infrastructure Development Program.
I'll second that.
Are you ready for the question? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carried, well done. Moves it forward. Okay, we've dealt with workers' compensation. Now we have the matter of establishing the traffic flow advisory committee. Elimination of red tape.
Yeah, so there was a request for a decision in your document. I have talked to staff about just removing the council members and still having the committee, or removing the committee altogether. And it was decided that most of the items that do come through are just operational items, so we would suggest or recommend that we remove the committee altogether, and then when something does need council's approval, we'll just bring it up whatever month that it's discussed.
The only question I had about this, is this the appropriate time to ask a question? Yeah. Okay. The only question I had about this was, does it limit the opportunity for the public to ask questions or be involved? Because I just recalled that there was some issues that came before the Traffic Flow Advisory Committee that resulted in some large public input. And so that's really just the broad general question is, does it limit that opportunity at all?
No, because it would still come to council for those decisions, right? If it's just an operational thing,
Yeah.
that's just done in-house, we just do it. If it's something bigger and kind of more depending on different options, then it would come to council with all the options and then given direction to staff which way to go with it, so.
Thank you.
Okay, so do we have a motion?
Trying to think this one. So I move that council repeals the establish the traffic flow advisory committee policy as of November 21st, 2024.
I'll second.
Ready for the question? All those in favor? Motion carried. Thank you. Good. Okay. Moving along. There was a point that I should have brought up, and I'm sorry, I'll just go back a minute ago when we were discussing something we did not discuss when we talked about the AIM report in connection with the marsh restoration. And to Mr. Lindella's point, since he's here, the county and the town did send a letter to the department asking for a full assessment of the causeway, which is being done by the province with NSPI doing their little part. And that report, the engineering report, will come in early in 2025. So that is their assessment, because the town does rely on the causeway as part of its seawall defense. Even just to clarify.
Gates are controlled by the province, the
Yes.
Department of
So that
Transportation.
whole thing is under assessment by the province. But basically, the town's plan does depend on those gates opening and mimicking the tidal flow up and down. So just a small point, I meant to mention it then. So back to our agenda, we are at the volunteer fire department and their request for a new truck.
So on the next couple council agendas, I'm just gonna kind of give you information on different projects that are going on. This month, I've decided for the fire department and our LCDC, which is Lawrencetown Communication something cooperative, can't remember, development cooperative. So the firemen had come and gave the previous council a presentation on requesting a ladder truck. That's the information that's in your package that we received at that time. Since then, the previous council we now have an agreement with the fire department of our expectations, and we've signed off on it. We were trying to do a joint one with Annapolis County, but they did not want to do a joint one with us, so we just went ahead and did our own. In that contract that we have done with the fire department, we stated that we would do a fire rate. So on the next tax bill that goes out in 2025, you are going to see a fire rate on your tax bill. It will come out of our expenses, operational expenses, the grant that we give the fire department, and it will show up as a tax area rate on your bill. So the policy is also included in this, so you can review it. It's just more information for you to kind of digest and decide. Kind of, if you have any questions, then you can come back to staff later on. But I also wanted to know if maybe you wanted to request that they came and made a presentation to the new council, so you could hear it firsthand, the reasoning that they want the aerial truck. And we can, start the conversation again. But the area rate will be in effect because the policies have all been approved, so that will go on the first bill for 2025.
I think it would be great to have them present. I agree.
And we have the report that the county received about the assessment of all 11 departments, but of our department in particular.
Okay.
So, the report referred to, we have.
And will the county be doing something on their own to contribute?
Well, the county was asked to participate in negotiations, and its response was they had 11 fire departments, so they're going to deal with their 11. So the town went alone, so we have maybe the only agreement with the fire department in the county.
So we don't know
In the
yet if
last-
they've made an
Like, it's
agreement
been
separately.
probably 25 years, 30 years that
Yeah, it's been 30 years with no agreement.
no agreement, so it's the first agreement in
It's the
30 years
first
since
agreement.
we
Yeah.
managed to get through, but
So at least we have an agreement.
Yeah.
So at least our relationship with the fire department is defined.
Mhm.
And the area rate was part of the negotiations, and the truck, which is supported by the study that they talk about in all three scenarios, the aerial truck is there.
Yeah,
But our commitment under our agreement is for a basic truck.
yeah.
But, you know, this council is free to decide what it wants to do. But I think the idea was the old agreement, we would fund the basic truck. What they did after that as a department, that was not our lookout. Yeah.
So with the basic truck,
We could give them funds for the basic truck, but they
Exactly.
could choose to fundraise
Exactly.
to get the balance of the aerial truck, whatever
Or
truck they
try to get the
needed.
county
Or
to
try to get
agree
the
that,
county to
exactly,
agree. Okay.
that's how, but that was a previous council decision, so
Okay.
everything's up for grabs again in a new budget, it'll be your budget,
Okay.
yeah.
and the way the county does it is because they do have 11 fire departments. They have a fire rate. And they take their funds, they have a formula for each department,
Okay.
and they just divide it out, and that's the money they get, no matter how much they ask for.
Or what
They're
they
just-
need.
What they,
Yeah.
they're just given X amount of dollars according to the formula.
Great, thank you.
And thank you, staff, for managing that, you know, to get things in the pipeline, so. And you have another item.
Yes, so the other one is the Lawrencetown Community Development Cooperative. The last council, we have decided that we are a cooperative member. So I attend monthly meetings. I am the commercial, I'm the Naples Royal something member to the co-op. So we're working with Lawrencetown to bring in fiber. So we have fiber now set up in this building. That was phase one. So that was the admin office and the police department. That is finally completed. Lots of work switching over from the previous IT service to the current one. The next phase is switching our phone lines over. We have the VoIP phones and we have lousy reception. Calls drop all the time. Most of the time we have to use our cell phones because our phone system doesn't work. And then with talking with LCDC, it was found out that it's because the system, when it was set up, you should only have one phone line on one line, and here there's 3 or 4 lines to one phone. So those are all getting separated out and done properly. And by switching over, we're saving, I think we only have to pay $25 a month for our VoIP line, so we're saving money that way. Phase 3 is installing the antennas on the building here at Town Hall. And then through our grant that we have with at the sewage treatment plant, we're putting in a 90-foot tower so that we can do the whole town with the cable, like with the dishes, so that it will pop, so that Public Works, the gym, which also has horrible internet, can all get hooked onto this new system. And then we are going to use our gas tax money for all of these expenses out of the April 1st, 2025. So LCDC is paying for all of the expenses now. So to allow us to use our gas tax money, because this is one of the few items that you can use gas tax money for. And then once we get the towers and the systems working, then we are going to open up the service to the public. And once we get 20 people to sign up, then the town bill drops dramatically to like $47 a month for services.
And it should represent a significant saving for the people that sign up.
Correct as well. Yeah,
Are
so
you finding that do you notice a difference already, or?
none of this has been done.
Okay,
So the only thing that's been done is the inside fiber.
okay,
And that's, yeah, so the last stage, that's stage 3 of 4, and it's,
so you're not using the fiber yet, it's just.
Town Hall is using the fiber just for our internet, but not for anything
Okay.
else
And
around town.
Do you notice any difference, or?
Lately Bell is out, so it's very all the systems, like even when you're on Facebook and the connections, it says like you can drop, but
Yeah.
it was good when he first switched it over, and then the last 2 weeks, there's been some issue with, Bell, so.
Right,
What's the time?
So
Into the time,
Like on the next
the
phases.
basic.
there's so much, we've run into so many complications that our timeline has been like, I think, doubled than what we expected when we started the switch
So
over.
projected, I would say.
Yeah, so projected, well, yeah, I'm thinking hopefully we'll be done by April, or May of 2025.
Okay, it's not bad.
Yeah,
And
So for people thinking of switching,
Yeah.
yes,
that's what
that's
happens, right?
around the time, yeah.
So that's what
Time,
we
so
tell them.
spring.
you
Yeah.
need 20 people, but the entire town could sign up and.
Correct, yeah.
And what's it take up in Lawrencetown? It's some ridiculous number, right?
I can't remember at our last meeting how many, because every meeting we have to sign them up, and I've gone to 3 meetings, and I think every month we sign like 4 or 5 people up.
But the
And
take up rate is really good.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
the village has probably 118 or 20 people on their connection. And so when new people move in, like
I
Bell
was
and
gonna say they
X
probably have
don't
only
even-
about 200 properties.
Exactly, and so like ExploreNet and Bell, like nobody even goes to Lawrencetown anymore because they know they're not gonna get any service, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Explore is still, they're basically saying someday in the future, we will cross the bridge and come to you.
Okay. So yeah, so it's another big
Yeah.
project that,
I think it's
We're working
a
on.
really great one.
Yeah.
The town though, in terms of savings, but also savings to the town as an entity, but also to the people of the town once that can be rolled out. And from what I've heard, the service is very good
Mhm.
compared to what,
And there'll be internet phone and we're cooperating on physician recruitment too, so
you know.
it's all good.
Is there, with this new service, is there potential for, more functional or greater kind of public Wi-Fi hotspots that we've had in the past that were maybe not so great?
we didn't talk about hotspots
Yeah,
yet.
because I was thinking, like the market or the comfort station or, like that kind of stuff,
Yeah,
or the amphitheater.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do they have sort of an estimated cost of what it would be monthly? If they got to 20 or 25 people?
I think it's like $35 a month. But it depends on how many people are on because it's a co-op, right?
Yeah.
So every year they see if they're making money or losing money, and then they reassess, and then so the rate is for the year. But it's definitely like under $40 a month,
For internet and phone or
just internet,
Okay.
yeah.
They told us they had to drop it at one point because they were making too much money.
Yeah.
What a nice couple.
Yes.
We would like to have that.
Sandy, is there a way that we can get a little bit more information about, just to read up on the co-op?
I think they have a website.
They have a website and that's about it, like everything, like we don't. Like, yeah,
We can get the website
It
out.
was set up by a local businessman who's knowledgeable and very confident in the area because they had terrible service and terrible costs. And we had a meeting about something completely different and he mentioned this and Sandy and the
ran with it.
staff have just run with it. And,
Yeah, what do you mean cheaper phones?
That work. Yeah, so like there isn't, like, they don't have like a brochure or anything in print because it's just like very small
Right.
scale. But they do have a website and I can see what more information I can get, but like I said, their AGM. Is October, right? I was just at the AGM, wasn't I? Because I got appointed for 3 years and I was like, ooh. Yeah, so I think they review their rates and different things at budget time, so. As I've only been on the board, the co-op for I think 3 months, so once I kind of get more experience, I might have more information from that, but.
yeah, no, it's great. Helps can really help for communities to get services they need.
Yeah, that's definitely, no, it's amazing.
Great. Ah, guess what? Another grant. Here. This one's another one, not as big as the other, but an important one. Replacement of the tree canopy.
So, and this one's this one I think is a little more complicated, but that just could be me. So this is another FCM grant that we've applied for and spent at least 2 months or 3 months on this one. And it looks like we've gone through a couple stages, so now they're looking for commitment from the town on our funding aspect. So the grant that we applied for FCM plants 95 trees in a 2-year period. The funding is only 50%, which leaves, and that's where the 2 big Excel spreadsheets kind of come in. So the funding program is asking the town for a commitment of what they're willing to spend. It looks like 11,260 over the 2-year period, and then we have to continue to maintain the trees for another year. Usually we only have like 5,000 or 6,000 in our tree budget a year. So there, you know, that would be like doubling our tree commitment. This will be planting trees like at AWAC, the Historic Gardens, the Summon Forte Mills.
If you own private property,
Properties, yeah,
wherever they could find a spot.
working with AWAC, Good Beginnings Daycare, have sent letters and support for the application as well.
So what does FCM stand for?
Federal
Federation
of
Municipalities.
Yeah.
And then you have NSFM, which is Nova Scotia Federation of Municipalities.
Somebody who's about to have to take down a great big giant elm tree, I'm happy to see that there's opportunities for regreening or a canopy.
Well, it's rare. This is a canopy grant that came in just after we'd taken down some big elms.
Yeah.
So again, this was a rare thing that kind of fell out of the sky.
And now we also found, Amory came across the Tree Canada has a grant for $10,000 as well. So we've applied, we're almost got that grant one done, I think. So that 10,000, if we're successful in the Tree Canada grant, can be stacked with this grant. So then our 11 could come down to like $1,200, $1,500 extra if we're successful, right?
Excellent.
But you never, there's no guarantee we're gonna be
There's
successful.
always.
Some we get, some we don't.
It's like bingo.
Yep.
Except the tree plan was, I have to say, we had the best technical expertise, right? Angelica doing the tree plan.
Yeah.
And she had all the contacts already, daycare, school. But then the people from Clean Foundation were fabulous. It was just Cassidy Walker who helped, but Logan Horrocks, who managed all the aspects right down to HST rebates.
Nice.
I have to say the skill level that we're getting out of Clean Foundation, you know, we got them for 3 years to help the 3 units. Well, we're getting
your
a lot
monies
of help from them.
That's excellent.
Never mind all of Sandy's time on top of that, which somebody has to manage the thing.
So we have a draft motion that.
Yes, you do, in your additional motions that I can hand it out.
It's not the one, it's not the one at the bottom of the
No,
document?
No, it's another one.
A different one, okay. So if it's the appropriate time to do
Yeah,
so?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I move that council approves to write a letter in support of the FCM Growing Canada's Community Canopy grant application and commit to the financial town share of the grant in the amount of $11,260 over a period of 2 years in the operating budget of 2025, 2026, and 2026, 2027. And that staff apply for the Tree Canada grant to offset the town's portion of the FCM Tree Canopy grant if successful.
Do you have a seconder?
I'll second.
Are you ready for this question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. And thank you again. My goodness. And that brings us, I believe, finally, to the set of easy motions. Starting recommendations from committees, boards and commissions, and Heather, maybe, did we say we'd start with Heather?
Go back to our page. It's great.
Yeah, go back to the regular programming, yeah.
Page
Yeah.
2 of 130.
Right.
Yes.
Scroll, scroll, there it is.
Ready?
You're right.
Alright, I move that council appoint Councillor Sybil Skinner Robertson as deputy mayor for the term of 2 years until December 31st, 2026.
Can I second that one? I second.
Ready for the question? All in favor?
I move that, sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
I move that council appoint Councillor Sadlowski and Councillor Myers to the audit committee until December 31st, 2026.
I'll second that.
Ready for the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
I move that council appoint Councillor Skinner Robertson to the Environmental Advisory Committee until December 31st, 2026.
I'll second that motion.
Ready for the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
I move that council appoint Councillor MacDonald and Councillor Skinner Robertson to the Marketing and Economic Development Committee until December 31st, 2026.
I'll second that.
Ready for the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. Back to you, Heather.
Oh, sorry. I move that council appoint Councillor Myers and Councillor McDonald to the Planning and Heritage Advisory Committee until December 31st, 2026.
Second that.
Ready for the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
I move that council appoint Councillors Sadlowski and Councillor Skinner Robertson to the board of the police commissioners until December 31st, 2026.
I'll second that.
Ready for the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
I propose that council appoint Mayor Boyer and Councillor Skinner Robertson as alternative to the intermunicipal service agreement until December 31st, 2026.
I'll second that motion.
Ready for the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
I move that council appoint Mayor Boye and Councillor Skinner Robertson to the Annapolis County Intermunicipal Working Group until December 31st, 2026.
I second that.
Ready for the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
I move that council appoint Councillor Sadkowski to the Friends of the Annapolis Pool Society until December 31st, 2026.
I second that.
Ready for the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
I move that council appoint Councillor McDonald to the Annapolis Valley Regional Library Board until December 31st, 2026.
I'll second that.
Ready for the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
I move that council appoint Councillor Skinner Robertson and Councillor Myers to the Regional Emergency Management Office until December 31st, 2026.
I'll second that motion.
Ready for the question? All in favor? Aye, motion carried.
I move that council appoint Councillor Myers to the Water Source Protection Agency until December 31st, 2026.
I'll second that.
Ready for the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Now, we are missing one motion, which is that council approve the appointment of Mayor Boyer to the condo board until December 31st, 2026, and somebody else has to make that motion.
I move that council appoint Mayor Boye to the condo board until 26th of December. 31st of December, 2026.
So I'll second that.
Ready for the question? All in favor? I'm sure nobody else wants to take it. All right, okay, and they'll learn about paint. All right, now,
Do we had
No, we have the, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I meant the water source.
Yeah.
Yeah, but blew right by it. Okay, who's ready for that?
You've done.
No, we did that one. You missed the motion tab 9, which is the idea strategy, and then the motion for the deer task
We
team.
did, so let's go back to tab 9. Everybody's got tab 9, everybody's got a chance to look at it. Yeah, there it is. Yeah.
I just want to hold it.
So this is a motion to approve the inclusion, diversity, equity, and anti-racism idea strategy. So we need someone to move that.
I move that council approve the inclusion, diversity, equity, and anti-racism strategy dated October 2024.
And do we have a seconder?
A second.
Okay, ready for the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried, so you approve the strategy. Next, coming out of the strategy, so this motion should read, the council approve the appointment of deputy mayor Skinner Robertson as the chair of the tax team. Oh, no, sorry, wrong one, no. So, did
It's
we,
a little slip we got
yes,
here.
but did we approve somebody for this, for the IDE?
No, we're not approving
We're not
anybody
there
yet.
yet.
Not there yet,
No.
okay, go ahead, Adele.
I move that council approve the appointment of Councillor Skinner Robertson as the chair of the task team for the deer concern in the town of Annapolis Royal.
Okay, the motion reads now, deputy mayor, right? Skinner Robinson, as opposed to council.
No.
Crystal counselor.
Okay.
We did it the Mollis counselor. We didn't do any of those
Okay.
deputy mayors. We'll just
Yeah,
say.
okay, thank you, all right.
We need a second.
Okay. Seconder,
A second.
okay, ready for the question?
Well, did you want to have a discussion on this
Yeah.
since it was brought up earlier
Oh,
today?
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
yes, of course, I'm laughing, all right, go for it.
What,
I would just say that this would be, a task team is made up of the public and not staff.
Yeah.
So it's not going to include staff time.
Mhm.
It would be just a task team, which there's no minutes, there's just, you will have discussions and then report back at this table.
And it may make, a task team may make more than one recommendation. It may make no recommendation. It can make all, there's any number of possible outcomes of a task team. But just because I was paying, close attention to what the public input was earlier, I think one of the challenges or one of the reasons I support having a task team is because you actually can't really deal with the question until we kind of go through some of the motions, regardless of what choice is made or what recommendation is followed. And the province, if I understand correctly, does have some requirements about what kind of data has to be gathered and what kind of research has to be done before you can yay or nay anything.
And
So,
I think that you are absolutely correct that there is a lot of emotion out
Mhm.
there. And I think it's better that we have a frank conversation amongst people. I started to think about who we might pull in, looking really for people of expertise in the area and experience, and had a few conversations with people who have expanded about how they handle the issue too. So I will pull together some of those people and we'll start, to define objectives and bring back and so on.
And I would point out that the previous council did deal with the nuisance wildlife issue. Now, it was critical at the time because the settling ponds were threatened. But I do know that following that, the previous council was interested in how else, in what other ways could it have approached the issue, because it was very emotional. So anyway, just to throw that in, that we've had a little bit of experience with this and it was difficult at the time, so we welcome some discussion and some advice coming from a group of interested people.
can I ask what the focus of the task team would be, like the laser focus of the task team?
Well, so for me, it would be bringing together a group of people to define what are the steps we need to take. Specifically, understand we need a count here for 3 years before we can do anything. And then thinking about what are the different options that could be on the table, whether it is nothing, whether it's some kind of contraception, whether it's some kind of call. And then I think it would be appropriate to take that to the public and say, have a discussion about it and see what people think.
Has it been defined that there's a problem?
Several people expressed concerns about it. People, people on both sides, right? But people who have gardens are concerned that they put a lot of work in and lose a lot of vegetation to them. then, you know, some people are concerned that they're, you know, beautiful animals that people enjoy seeing. There are other people who express concerns about, you know, hazard to traffic, concerns about ticks. So I think we need to kind of really hash all of that out and come back to council with a proposal maybe.
And we've had some near misses reported.
As we have in the whole province
Oh,
though.
yes, yes, no. you're-
So
no,
are
right.
are we unique?
No.
No,
we're not
the
unique
same
even-
issue in Yarna. The same issue.
I did a bit of an internet search and I found stuff in the Midwest of the US, stuff in, you know, in Banff, they encourage people just not to have gardens. There's, you know,
Yeah, because there are, you know, things that people can do, there's barriers they can build and things like that, so. I'd like to know if we really do have a problem that's unique in Annapolis Royal, that we actually really have to take steps and spend money.
And I
To
don't-
mitigate.
I think
it.
that's the,
Yeah,
you know, and that, again, that's why you know, doing some counting maybe first to see and define the problem. I mean, it's anecdotal, but I can tell you, my daughter has a garden in Granville Ferry. Completely open, nothing preventing anybody from eating anything. They never got eaten. We have a 9-foot deer fence. Most of my husband's garden got eaten this summer. And I'm not saying I'm on either side of it. It's just anecdotal, but objective that one place things are getting eaten and then another place they're not.
I think another consideration is that when you do take steps to control deer, you could have unintended consequences, so.
Yes.
That needs to be kept in mind too.
Yeah, no, and that's the kind of input that I think we need to gather from everybody who's interested in what the different options are and then look out. It'd be silly not to look at what are other people doing as solutions and what's worked and what hasn't.
And I think sorry if I might just add that I think that there's also issues. We're talking about gardening, we're talking about traffic. I've had a deer in our yard for most of this year that's been injured. And there's no resource to actually deal with that. I've called the province. They're not going to come and do anything about it. But that animal has been hit by a car and is injured and now is basically just in pain and wasting away in the community. So there's issues around deer in general that are bigger and broader than just whether we like them or don't like them, whether we want them in our gardens or don't. There's some people who are feeding them. What do we do about that? How do we prevent that from happening? There's a whole host of issues that I think a task team that's looking at the broad subject could bring back to council so that we have some guidance about where to go to deal with any one of these issues. It isn't just the super passionate, I love deer or I don't love deer kind of thing. There's a broader discussion, and not the least of which is the ecological issue of how many deer are sustainable in 2 square kilometers. Because that's a reality too. And that we only get that information by kind of creating the task team and actually talking to the experts.
Now, a council does maintain control because you approve the terms of reference.
Yes.
So the first thing the group will have to do is develop something that you feel comfortable with. So that council doesn't lose, that it doesn't have a whole number of groups going off in any direction. So one of the first things they'll have to do is get their heads around a piece of paper. And I think the environment committee is there. They've got a task team proposal and they've been working on that for several meetings and
I still have the ones in healthcare too.
yeah, that's right. So they do have to come back and tell us what they plan to do.
Investigate, yeah.
And council needs to approve it.
But I strongly see it as citizen led and we've got quite a number of experts in the area that we can draw on and, you know, I think that's ideal to have them involved
Okay,
if they're willing.
so if we're okay with that, I think we did that appointment. No, we didn't.
That
do
was the
appointment.
discussion.
That was the discussion. So are we ready for the question? Glad I asked. Are we ready for the question? On the motion? The council approved the appointment of Councillor Skinner Robertson as the chair of the task team for the deer concern in Annapolis Royal. Are you ready for the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Any nays? You have a mayor's report of tab 10 that got sent out to everybody. If there's more questions about that. There are questions there for twitting. Because we've run out of time. Despite months and months of working on twitting, you see the outstanding questions. Anyway, I'm gonna leave that for Medic to sort out. I'm just posing the questions. All right, and you saw the chief administrator's office report. Any question about that? Any questions about her report?
And I'll just say that I was in Wolfville today and we'll be going back to Wolfville tomorrow. I am attending the IDEA conference. So that was very interesting the first day. It started off with the rug ceremony. The carpet, what is it called? The blanket exercise. Sorry for
Yeah, that's
completely off the
incredible.
topic there. Yeah. So very moving kind of way to start a 2-day conference. The first one that's been held, it's been done by the province and helped for paying most of it. And also just want to remind everybody of the meet and greet here Monday, the 25th at 4:30. So it's just a stop in and meet your new council. And I don't know if anybody had any questions on my report.
We'll be bringing in each plate of something for that.
Nope,
Oh,
She's got cookies.
nope,
Cookies and beverage plan.
nope,
No,
No?
no.
Oh, no.
No, no, it's just a stop in, meet and greet.
Oh, okay. I know, it's so unusual not to have to bring something to us. What do you mean?
so we can't? That's a no?
Well, if you start something and you're gonna continue it, because you said you wanted to do these monthly, so we don't have money in the budget to do this monthly,
Right.
so we'll just start it off and see how you make out and work
Yeah.
from there. So this is the first one.
Okay.
We'll see how many people from the public show up.
And it's an hour, so people
1
might
hour.
last an hour.
Yes,
Right,
and it's
yeah.
before supper, so
I did have one question for you. I'm trying to find it.
it's not attached to the report. Somehow it was the tab separate.
It's individually.
No, I,
Oh.
yeah, no, it's more my question is
Oh.
somewhere that I have
Yeah,
desperately
the remote
misplaced
meeting
it.
that was planned for December 9th, that's in a report that's being canceled, just so you're aware. That remote meeting will not be taking place because of the special exercise we're doing, or orientation day that we're doing. So that's a change of the report. Anyway, if you find it, just.
Yeah, I'll
look it
probably
up.
just, I mean, just email
Email.
the question to you. I think it was about FCM Strategic Communities Conference.
Okay, we have the planning
Find the
services
question.
report. And a couple of people are just spending their way through the maximum there, making us look really good. A couple of accounts are responsible for all of that. The water reports, thank you to whoever blew up the font. I can now read them without squinting or pulling up the magnifying glass. And reports go to Kim Dunning. I love this little plug she's put in, by the second Thursday of each month. Or noon. That's high noon.
So just because, so this will be your first time to attend meetings. So usually during the council meeting only is where you give your updates so that everybody is aware of what's going on at the different committees. So if you send it to Kim, it's included in the package for the public and everybody to read, and it will also be included as appendixes to the minutes. But if you don't, then you have to give your verbal report. And even if you do submit your report and there's something like important that you want to draw attention to, then more than happy to just kind of highlight something important from the meeting or anything that you want to convey to the public.
And you have complete freedom of expression over your reports. You decide how little, how much you want to say. You're handing them in ahead of time. Mr. Lindell has just pointed out how helpful that is to have ahead of time. And then if people have questions for you, there you go. And we found it's a very effective way to control meeting times and bring them in under 2 hours.
And how much time does Kim need?
Kim?
You have to
Prior
send it to Kim the second Thursday of each month.
Before noon. Set it in your calendar.
That's because we
Set an alarm.
staff have to have the council agendas out by 5 days prior. So
There
Kim,
has to be enough time to put it all
for
together,
Kim to put
link
it
all the
together to get it
documents.
out the end of the day.
And the system works well, as you can see. We get our
Yeah.
package. It's very complete when it comes and gives you more time for discussion.
Yeah.
So thank you, Kim, for that lovely commercial.
Oh, they're not.
I'll move to correspondence. The thank you letter should be sent to Best Wishes. This refers to the lovely note that you received from Pam Mood, Mayor Pam Mood, congratulating the ladies of the female council. And you've also received the note that we received from the village of Tilly from BC, telling us that they are also a female council.
Yeah.
So we could become pen pals. I'm just putting it out there, you know, that.
Or a support group.
That, or, yes, it could turn into a support group. Okay, yes, to that too. And another piece of correspondence, you have tab 15, Community Alcohol Partnership, CAP, Annapolis Valley Kitchen, and what do you wish to do with that? Open for discussion.
Are they asking for a representative to attend regularly, or was the list of meetings just there for our information? I wasn't clear.
It seemed like they were looking to see, did we want a presentation? Did we want to attend something that already scheduled? So this is very much up to you to decide how you wish to proceed, what you wish to do with it, if anything. Yeah.
Is this a relatively new organization? Like I wasn't able to find a lot of.
I've never, that's the
Yeah.
first I've heard of it,
Yeah.
not to say it's new, but I hadn't heard of it before. Have you, Sandy?
No, and it came from Ontario,
Yeah.
so,
What do you mean it came from Ontario?
the letters were hand delivered, like, we got the letters in the mail and they were postmarked from,
Oh.
Windsor, Ontario.
Yes.
Because each person, each counselor received one
Yeah.
in their mail slot.
Yeah.
We just scanned, one and put it on the agenda, yeah, just to get it out there. But yeah,
So it's completely at your discretion.
It's a laudable lane for sure. I am supportive of it.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say more than that.
Yeah, I mean, if they were asking to come and do a presentation, I think I would support that. But I kind of just got the feeling that it was really just information. We are available to speak with you and your council further when you are prepared to discuss the matter, or if you would prefer to leave us deliver a presentation at one of your council sessions. Council representation at our monthly CAP meetings would be welcomed.
I don't think there's any locations for any of the upcoming meetings.
no, I think that it's all virtual since they're, yeah.
Yeah, it just says TBA.
And in the afternoon.
Yeah, 1:30 to 3:30.
So we'll leave that with you, and if there are further thoughts, you can discuss that. No? Okay, so unbelievable as it is. It would appear, let me see, I'm just making sure. There's a lot. So, we have completed our agenda for the regular session. And can you tell how many people are online watching YouTube at the present time?
I can tell you.
Yeah, you can tell. Okay. Anyway, I'd like to say thank you to those people who hung in with us for this council meeting. Thank you for being with us.